Welcome back to the channel. Me and Joe Worsley are going to get stuck into that game that happened in Dublin earlier today as we record this. And final score, Ireland 27, France 42. And it was even more of a beatdown than that, Joe, than that scoreline suggests.
Yeah, that first 20 minutes, it was 0-0, was it? Or 3-0 maybe. But Ireland had possession. They'd been the accurate team we talked about with their kicking game, dominating contestables, keeping hold of the ball with really good, all their shapes and organisation and structures, which before the World Cup they did so well. They were doing that at really good levels. France held out, and then first time they get in the Irish 22, bam, mauled, tried, but done. No pissing around. I mean, that kind of sums up the difference in the two teams. Ireland have to spend so long constructing these incredible scores for all these structures. One thing has to go right, and they get it right down the line, then they get there at the end. But one little mistake, and then it falls apart. Whereas the France are different. They're a team who will play when the ball's fast, bam, suddenly go and break your back, rather than having to rely on getting loads of phases right. They only have to get that one phase right and then the one after it, and then they can do you. So it's a different kind of rugby. They're both really good, don't get me wrong, but it was really interesting for me watching that game, that difference in style that we talked about with Manu, for example, that structures versus playing in the moment, seeing what you can see. My jaw dropped when Ramos did the offload to Bielberry, who didn't crossfield kick. That was just incredible.
Kick pass to Penno, they are nuts.
It was incredible. And like in their mind, for us, even me, being in France for a long time, I was like, oh my God, that's just crazy.
But even then, it was more than that. That just about 30 seconds after that, France are upfield. Barassi makes a break, and as he's falling to deck, he just lifts it over his shoulder to Moefana, who then drops it onto his foot and nudges it to within 5 meters of the Ireland line. And then there was the Dupont reverse pass. I mean, it was staggering. A beautiful blend of the French flair that we love. And
the try that Bielberry scored, that one for me was incredible because they're under pressure in the kicking game. Ramos did a little grubber in a metre of space and then chased it down, tackled the guy, they counter-rucked, and that gave him the ball that Bielberry did an amazing finish from. But that was that kind of combination of French flair combined with just amazing ability. It was a match where those moments happened. The French just dropped the hammer. They were really, really good to watch today. Really entertaining.
I want to pick your brain as a defence coach, Joe. I was really taken by the French defence today. I mean, yes, the collisions, there were some huge hits. Moefana was taking names with some of his defensive hits. Malvaca was an absolute beast. But what I really noticed was France, I don't know whether it felt like they were laying traps for Ireland, and strategically they'd sort of done their planning. Like right at the start of the game, they were stacked, everyone but Ramos up flat in the line, almost saying, go on, we want you to kick it. We don't want you to go through your face play. We want you to kick it. And it didn't feel like Prendergast and Gibson Park got that strategic tactical battle right. France were just kind of, I don't know, it felt a bit cat and mouse, and France were toying with them a little bit.
I think they would definitely load the front line because Ireland, when they attack well, they attack really tightly. And if you leave space, if there's any kind of space between defenders, they can really rip you to shreds and go through that. And afterwards, you're screwed. They go around the outside, it's not the end of the world. And they got a few edges today, and then you can chase them down, get a touchline ruck, and then go again. So I think France probably put numbers in the line for that reason, because the Irish, when they get flowing, they get the ball so fast, it's very hard to keep your defensive shapes.
How difficult is it for those edgemen? How difficult is it for those edgemen, Le Beep Beep and Penno, to read and track back? Because that's what amazed me. They were stacked in the front line, but they never seemed to be stressed when Ireland did try and pepper the kicks over the top.
Yeah, the winger is vital in the way. France don't have a huge line speed. They've got some very strong, powerful tacklers, so they probably don't need it as much. But their line speed's not crazy, so for the wingers, it's a little bit easier to make those calls because they're not getting put in as many situations. There's people will control earlier with them, but France still do have some line speed, and the moments where the winger has to shut the door or control it out, and Bielberry's really good at that. because he's got so much pace that he can, if he does get it slightly wrong, he can catch up again after. Penaud is a little bit looser probably, but still not bad. But today though, I mean, those two players, Penaud was a bit ropey at the start, but then got back into being himself towards the end of it. But Bielberry's just becoming, how old is he? 22?
21. Still 21.
Oh my God. He's going to be awesome, isn't he? He already is. And what a wicked guy as well. I met him a couple of times, but the interview after, you could just see he was a down-to-earth, lovely guy, couldn't you? It was incredible.
Yeah. And you've got to mention as well his Bordeaux teammate, Lucu, who, I mean, I'm sure there was, we don't know what the extent of Antoine Dupont's injury is. That looked like an MCL or an ACL.
Yeah.
It looked pretty bad.
Yeah, let's hope it's just an MCL. But yeah, he got his knee well and truly caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about Lucu. He was incredible when he came on.
He was. He really, really was. It was like the general taken from active duty, and the colonel steps up and takes the extra stripe. But yeah, he was class.
The general. But Lucu's more consistent probably. He's less able to do some of the things Dupont can do, but he's more able to feed the backs, bring people into the game, but still can read when the ball's fast. He read that first try when there was a Flamand. I think it's legal because Mahoney was kind of there at the time he committed. And Flamand took out Mahoney, left a hole by the ruck, and then boof, off he went. Lucu just saw it and went. And that, for me, is that big difference between the teams that are really structured and teams that are. I mean, Irish are not bad at that either. Like Gibson Park can see those kind of holes. But Luca was there, bam, like a rat. But the thing is, he was supported. If you noticed, as soon as he did it, he had an option out the back straight away, and that guy had an option. And that's the big difference between a lot of Anglo teams and that French team is the support guys read it and go with them. It's not just the guy making the break; it's those blokes behind that can really make it a try.
That's right. It was, and France got a lot of change out of that. They have. This is why I love watching the French team, because they can narrow it up and just go, whether it's a pick and go or just a little one short pop, and they'll keep it close to the ruck, and that just collapses the defence in, and then bang, they go wide. It's it does feel instinctive, but I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of work goes into that.
I mean it's instinctive, but it's trained instinct. It's trained collective instinct, which is very Toulousain. Okay, and Bayonne played like that. And quite a few teams, and a lot of teams in France have that in their DNA. Some are very organised, but the most of them will have that in some way.
Yeah.
And as French kids, they grow up with that in their blood, so it makes them more able to do it. And man, it's so much fun to watch, isn't it? Some of the stuff they did today was just incredible.
Yeah. As you already said, to not concede in that opening quarter of an hour was absolutely massive. But 8-6 at half time, and their captain, talisman, and main playmaker off the field.
Yeah.
I did not see, and then Ireland scored straight after half time. Did you see that sort of reaction come in? What was behind it? What caused that them to be able to flip it?
I felt after that first 20, and then France started that last 20 kind of dominated, and were starting to open up holes. And then the Irish started making some errors. The kicking game. I mean, most of the contestables they won. France are still very poor there. Even towards the end of the game, France are winning those, but it just didn't give them enough outcomes. They couldn't play well enough out the back of it to score enough points. And the French just started their territory kicking game, got better and better. I mean, they tend to kick long. They did that very well. One of the tries came from, they exited off a kickoff, long kick down, contestable back. It was poorly done by Pendergast, I think. And from that, they counter-attacked, got right into the 22. And next thing you know, the Irish team was having to do a dropout from its own try line. So it's things like that, especially in the second half, where you started to think this is going very much the French way now.
It was that's what happened when Joe McCarthy got his yellow card. And then from that, Bielberry scored the first try, was from exactly what you say, a little kicking exchange, long. But France were already stacked up, ready to go, and two passes, and they were one side of the field to the other. Ireland were stretched. Just a word on some of these guys, though. It feels like a statement victory, and it feels like guys who've been looking really good. But yeah, we knew about Francois Croilson, Aldrit in the back row, but also Budahont's really emerged recently, hasn't he? We've already
Yeah. I
mentioned
mean,
Louis Bielbiere, but it's been a massive tournament for Moefana
yeah,
as well.
Moefano's gone up in my estimation. Guillard, the second row. I didn't really think that much. I didn't really know him that well before, but he's stepped up. He looks physical, kind of a real physical guy, just running around smashing
Jean-Baptiste
stuff.
Gros as well, another one. It
Yeah,
was him
Groves
that gave the little
really
offload to
that
Luku
offload
before
he
that.
did was incredible for a prop.
Yeah,
Seemingly a prop is nowhere near as skillful as Bay, and he can do that. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, some players have stood up. I remember they beat England by a record score a couple of years ago at Twickenham,
yeah,
and so there's still days where it doesn't go right, and there's still that problem with contestables, which you saw again today. Ireland couldn't utilise the ball they got off the back of it, but they had some opportunities coming from that. So something like Burros coming back will be really important. But who you drop to put him in the team, I'm not really sure.
yeah. I was thinking ahead as I was watching the game. I was the sheer brutality of it and the 7-1 bench split, which I definitely want to.
Yeah, that's the other thing, Tim. You're right. Brutality, intensity. Watch that game was two world class teams. The speed at which they use their structures or they realise an opportunity and just snap and go is incredible. And the intensity every breakdown was pretty incredible. Every collision. You flip to the Wales Scotland game after, it just wasn't the same animal.
No, it wasn't the same.
You find yourself very quickly looking away and chatting to people because there you see a difference between two teams where the level is significantly different in those two matches.
Yeah, and you have to say, fair play to Galtier. I wasn't sure the risk was worth the reward, but the gears that France went through when their
Yeah.
bomb squad entered the field. I mean, I think the first thing they did collectively, I think five of them came on initially. And Dzeko played centre as well.
Yeah, he had a storm as well, didn't
He
he?
had a stormer, didn't he? But those five guys came on, and then they just blitzed, counter-rucked, and I think that directly led to a try as well. Miafu was just eating up
Yeah,
Irishmen, and
he was getting good go forward as well, wasn't
yeah,
he? He was even that's something like him coming on gives you that they can play they call it to lose, I think, where they just pick and go and play until they get a fast ball and go. Something like him gives you that fast ball regularly when he carries.
So I was watching that. In the second half when they were emptying the bench and you saw them going through the gears and all that power. And I was thinking that game in November in Paris against South Africa, probably 2 7-1 benches and just giant humans. It's going to be something else. But of course, more pressingly, France now have a championship in their sights, and only one championship under Fabien Galtier is not the dividends that they would want for a squad so talented.
Yeah, I mean, Scotland must be nervous about that fixture. Imagine going to Paris knowing that the opposition need a bonus point. They've already had a poor performance, which lost the game they probably should have won against England. Scotland would be apprehensive about that match.
I'm never one to particularly talk about officials and stuff, but there were some big calls in this game. I thought the Angus Gardner got the big ones correct. I thought he was fair enough in his explanation of Thibaut Flamont on Peter Omani ahead of that try that they scored. That was, I can't remember which try that was, but some people have been saying that there needs to be more protection at the breakdown with players off their feet, and they're only saying that as a response to the fact that Antoine Dupont got injured. How do you see it?
I haven't seen it clearly because it kind of went off camera when it happened. He was trying to steal the ball. 3 players came in to clean him out. I think one of them fell down by his leg. Then someone else rolls him over and his leg gets caught under that person. So it's really hard to tell from what I saw. I think these things sometimes happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I was a ball stealer. I got my hamstrings torn off the bone once where I just get caught in a funny position trying to steal the ball. If you're in those positions stealing ball, sometimes these things are going to happen to you. It's just, I think, the way it goes. Once or twice in your career, like.
Yeah. I mean, but most players are not, quote unquote, supporting body weight as the law says they should.
But it's clearing out that stealer because the
exactly.
stealers, normally you hit him, there's a wrestling moment, and sometimes to win that, you'll just throw your body weight to the side,
Yeah.
counterbalance, and if you land around the leg and the leg's caught in something, that's where you can get these situations that we just had.
Yeah. No, for what it's worth, I totally agree. And accidents happen. It's a dangerous game, but I hope it's like you say. I hope it's an MCL, not an ACL. But I guess we'll find out soon enough. Word is that he was Dupont was very, very upset in the dressing room. So apparently Luku said to French TV that he was crying, that he was crying, and so that doesn't sound good. But we'll watch this space.
He's done his ACL before, so he probably knows.
It's the other leg though. He did his ACL on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was his left leg that now is his right leg. Yeah.
But we'll see. It didn't look like it went miles. So hopefully there's no meniscus damage or anything severe. I mean, it's quite regular.
How long's it? I mean, because we've seen Sia Khaleesi get back in like 5 months from an ACL before the World Cup.
Yeah, I think 6 months is now possible for people, but
Dan Sheehan was 6 or 7.
Dupont's been. I know he had a big break here and there, but the Olympics, to Toulouse double, World Cup before, he's had a lot on his plate. These things tot up in the background as well.
Well, as much as I'm sure in France they're very, very happy about this result and feeling vindicated that they do have a top team, are they also, do you think, ruining what might have been at Twickenham?
Yeah, but remember we talked about it. I went back to France after they lost to England. They were still in shock because they felt hands down they should have won. And we were over the moon, weren't we? Such an incredible match, amazing atmosphere. But yeah, I mean, they could have, I don't know, 3 times out of 5 they would have won that game, maybe.
Yeah.
To say England played really well. Don't get me wrong, but there were a few opportunities. So yeah, they'll be ruining that, but still, they can still win the championship. It's not a slam, is it? But still not bad.
Well, it's made for an exciting Super Saturday. Not that that's any comfort to anyone Irish, but should be exciting next week. And we'll be back talking about it when those games are on. Well, I think we'll have some technical stuff to pick the bones out of in that game as well, Joe. You've already touched on a few things, but you also mentioned the interview with Manny Tuolangi, which if you haven't checked out and you want to get a bit of insight from an Englishman that's gone over there and his experience, some of that French flair at a club that very much play the way that Bordeaux and Stade Toulousain do, then go and check that interview out in the feed right now. Joe, I'll see you on the next one, mate.